Welcome to the Joy of Paintball. I'm Clint Riddle, and today I sit down with Paddy Gleason of Off the Leash, and we talk about just creating in general. Like, talk about him creating stuff with the merchandise for Off the Leash. We talk about him creating these training programs, these training regimens, and really just all things paintball and art and great stuff. I really enjoyed the conversation. He had a lot of profound things to say, so I can't wait for y'all to dive into this. This is the Joy of Paintball. I'm Clint Riddle. Gosh, I don't know why I always end it in such a weird way. All right, there you go. Okay, I think we're good. I'm Clint, by the way.
Clint. I know. Dude, I always know people by their social media handles and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
Right on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here, man.
So where are you located?
Are you Dallas, Texas? Fort Worth,
okay.
But Dallas.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
And then you're West Coast.
Yeah, I'm up in. I'm basically Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's
just south of Seattle.
Yeah, I'm in one of the basically cities also. I feel that like.
Yeah, just suburbs.
City,
I'm like 20 minutes,
Right
south of the city, but it's easier just to say Seattle.
For sure. Well, welcome. This is the Joy of Paintball. It's a paintball podcast, art adjacent. I don't even know what, like, it's creator adjacent. So like I try to get folks that are just making stuff. Really is the main thing.
I love that.
And just sort of pick their brain about that and anything they want to talk about, and then I ask them some stuff about art because by trade, I don't know if trade's the right word. My job is I'm a high school art teacher.
Oh, no way. Okay. Bet.
Yeah, and then just sort of doing paintball stuff on the side. But anyway,
okay.
Welcome to the podcast. And so for people jumping in, this is Paddy Gleason. He is a professional paintball player. He is also owner, creator, everything for Off the Leash, which is, correct me if I'm gonna mess this up somehow, but you take training, you do you do like physical training, you do, it looks like team sort of training for paintball, and you also have like some dope merch, which I really want to talk about. So
thank you.
And your dad and husband and all the things.
Yeah.
You're just sort of, you got a lot going on, man.
Yeah, I try to hold on to my seat, man. Life is very full. I try to refrain from been trying to refrain from saying busy.
Okay.
Because everybody's busy, you know what I mean? So life is just very full.
Yeah, I like that.
But I know you nailed it. I mean, so I'm up here in Seattle, Washington. Yes, play professional paintball. Taking the season off this year, just to focus on my family and creating, and that's why I love that you invited me on here. Yes, I come from a family of artists.
Sweet.
So constantly creating, and really wanted to give me the space for that.
Nice.
I found myself not having the bandwidth to be creative, so, and it's really important to me, and OTL is really important to me, so it was kind of like that tough decision, putting the ego aside and taking a step back from playing the circuit. So OTL is my project, my basically my lifeline, if you might say. And I do paintball performance, strength and conditioning. So that's kind of where it started. And then, like you said, it kind of has a duality where I really enjoy creating my merch and doing some more of that streetwear. And since paintball is my platform, it's kind of like giving that kind of vibe to paintball, which I do think is missing, and not a lot of people, if any, are really kind of hitting the pocket that I'm hitting. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's hover around that for right now. The merch, like, so I'm a hardcore kid, like emo, whatever, and that has its sort of like merch genre, like band merch stuff, and you slide in, not, more serious than that stuff, but it's definitely like really cool.
Thank
I'll
you.
throw
Thank you.
pictures up in post, and
Thank
like
you.
um, just everything about it. Like, yeah, it's we all know you, all the players know you as a paintball player, but it would totally like you could wear it and people would be like, oh, what band is that? Or
Hmm.
oh, that's a dope brand. Like it is
Hmm.
a brand and not just
Hmm.
a paintball brand. Which I've been seeing a few folks. I talked to the Clatter
Hmm.
crew. I've talked to a few of them, and they do some great stuff. And Hormesis is doing their thing. But this, like you said, it's kind of a untouched. I've seen a few people kind of try, but they don't like. Yours seems more, dare I say, authentic. Uh,
I was
just
hoping you were gonna say that. I was hoping in my head that's the word I was thinking of. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So we're connected.
Nice, nice. Yeah, man. So what's you design the merch or
Yeah,
how's
dude.
that process?
I do. I I mean, with OTL, man, I basically am doing everything. I
Damn,
mean, but
dude.
in many ways, I've kind of figured out how to kind of move around. And so, but I do like when it comes to ideas and just the thought process behind it. Yes, that's all me.
Okay.
But when it comes to the graphic design, I have friends that help me out with some more of the more detailed graphic arts that I put
Sweet.
on my
Okay.
stuff. But it's literally me directing them. I just
Yeah.
don't know like how to do it, in
Hey.
graphic art. So it's me a lot of direction, and then I'll dabble with that. So I'll get them to draw me up the designs and the different kinds of logos that I use, and then they'll give it to me, and then I always ask for it in like a Photoshop file or stuff like that with
Mm-hmm.
all the layer. Like I was like, give it
Yeah.
to me like raw, and
Yeah.
then I'll basically go in and shuffle it around how my vision is and
Sweet.
place it on the garments and stuff like that, and kind of do all of that. And I'll do small little logos and details and a lot of the font work and stuff like that. I'll do that
Nice.
stuff. Um, and then when it comes to like the video, like my social media and stuff, that's all me too.
No
And
way, dude.
just trying to, and like same thing. I'll have my buddy come in, and all I need is like the high quality
Gotcha. The
video,
footage. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
footage, then the photos and stuff. But I go in and I'll uh I'll do
Chop
the
it up.
Lightroom, I'll do the editing on Premiere Pro, and I'll chop
Damn,
it up
dude.
how I want. And because I mean, to be honest, like, and then not to take, I'm not taking shots at any of them. Um, you know, and to credit's due, like it's just kind of expensive,
Mm-hmm.
especially when
Yeah.
I'm such a small project. I'm just a small identity. It's a they you pay for a lot of money, pay a lot of money for content creation and stuff like that. So I was like, I really just took it upon myself to learn, and
Mm-hmm.
I know what my vision is, and
Yeah.
I kind of hold on to that. I know that I could probably delegate some of that out, but I've done it before and it just doesn't like hit how I
Yeah.
want it to. So I've just learned how to edit it myself and
Dude.
pr- bring it to life how my vision is,
Freaking Renaissance man over here.
Yeah.
Doing it all, man.
It's pretty wild, man. And
Like
then
legitimately, you're doing everything. That's
and I
crazy.
mean, I even have that mentality when it comes to like my program design, right?
Yeah.
For the strength training.
Mm-hmm.
I come at it as like an artistic point of view too. Like the programs that I write for my athletes, I feel like it's just my expression of art as well.
Yeah. Dude, that's so cool. I've talked to a few folks about, maybe they're not capital A artists, or like what their art making is not what you would usually think of as art. But I think, like anything as paintball players, I think I heard you used to skate a little.
Hmm.
Like this expression, this form of like that is the art form, and I don't think it's maybe it's not that weird to talk about it that way, but like the fact that you treat it like art, that you treat training and like this other person like that is a not that they're art, but like how you just your job in general, like that you're treating it as an art form and not just a job. Like, that's really cool. Um, Sorry, it's kind of all over the place on that,
No,
but
no, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think, like I said, so my mom was a freelance artist and is still.
nice.
My cousins have been artists. Like I come from and musicians, and I just come from a very artistic family in that sense. And I mean, to like what you said, it's like I don't really consider myself an artist, but um, growing up skating, growing up playing paintball, growing up within the, I was a big hip hop head growing up,
Okay.
so that lifestyle. Art to me is just using tools to express yourself.
Yeah,
You
man.
know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a brush to paper with paint, or
Hmm.
sculpting or anything like that. Like it's just different forms of expression. So I've always adopted that and always resonated with whatever I'm doing, right? Whether it's skateboarding or paintball or whatever it is, training and all of that is just that's my way of expressing and moving myself around in life.
Dude, I love it. It's so good. What does your mom make?
She was a ceramics artist, or she is. I keep saying was.
Nice.
She's a ceramics artist.
Right on. Right
And
on.
then she dabbled, but she's dabbled with everything. She's just
Of
done
course.
watercolor, and but she's always, and that's a lot where I've gotten like my hustler mentality too. She's always just been independent in that sense, and
Yeah.
selling to different shops. I've always, when I was younger, we were always driving around the island and dropping her art off at different shops around the
That's
island, and
dope, man. That's
I was
cool.
there when uh, growing up. She was always pouring her ceramics and learning how to fire the kiln and
Oh
doing
gosh.
all of that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Is she so I'm not trying to be rude. Is she kind of most ceramics artists are a little uh what should I say? Crazy? I don't like kind of
Eccentric.
yeah, there you go.
She's
Uh
actually not, man.
she's not? Okay.
No, she was a
Good.
really cool. She was a really cool mom. Talking about high school. Well, then I was in high school. She was our high school art teacher.
That's cool.
My cousin's an art high school art teacher. So I think she was always really
Nice.
hip and really really cool. I never thought of
Yeah.
her as being super eccentric,
That's good.
super level headed. I felt like.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good. That's
Maybe you ask someone else and it was, maybe they have a different opinion, but that's my mom, so it's
no, no, I'll trust you. I'll trust you on this.
like
That's cool. I I run across all sorts of artists doing art teacher stuff, and the
I
ceramics
bet.
people are always kind of like uh, it'll be fine, everything will
Question.
work out, and like they're just so used. I think part of it is they're so used to like just not having control over things as far as like you throw your clay piece in the kiln, like it might come out,
Right, right.
it might not, it might be like shattered when it comes out. So anyway,
No, I love that. No,
yeah,
I feel like I would think you would agree too. She's very normal.
yeah,
She's very
that's
normal.
good, that's good. Sorry, man. Came out of left field with that one. All right, so we talked about the merch a little bit, and so you kind of touched on the training. So
Hmm.
it's help me out. We You can talk about it as much or as little as you want. I figure like whatever you prefer. But just for people that are tuning in, Off the Leash, the training program is
Hmm.
paintball specific. I know you used to
Yeah.
coach rugby, or not coach. Well, yeah, coach. You were a training conditioning
Hmm.
coach,
Hmm.
strength and
Hmm.
conditioning coach for rugby guys. Are you still doing
Hmm.
that?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
Those guys are all really close still, though. I
nice.
just kind of, like I said, life's trajectories, man. You
Yeah,
never really know what you're going to manifest. And when it comes to life, you're never really going to know how the direction of your life is going to take. So I spent a couple years, though, and for the Major League Rugby team out of Seattle, the Seattle Seawolves. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And then now I branched off. We've kind of um, I got together with this other partner of mine that opened up a gym, so I've kind of been spearheading that for him.
nice.
And it's fun because I'm not on the business, but I am representing OTL within the gym.
Okay.
which is a lot of fun, gives me a lot of freedom and creativity. He's kind of trusted me with the vision and kind of culture creating. I think that's a
Hmm.
big part of kind of what I've gotten good at doing as well. So like when I stepped into the Seawolves, that was kind of the agreement as well, was they needed to kind of revamp their team. So just building culture is kind of something that I also enjoy doing. And so with OTL, when I had just talked to I have like an exclusive email list that I have that I send out like additional content to, and I
Hmm.
had just got done talking to them about kind of like the origins of OTL, so that kind of matches up. It's fresh in my mind, but um, OTL was just created basically out of nothing, and when I moved up here in 2018, it was my first year with Seattle Thunder. We had quit. Me and my wife had quit our careers back on Maui to take this jump, and we had
Gosh.
like just gotten married, quit our careers. We were like on the last semesters of school. It was a lot. So we
Yeah,
moved up
man.
here and basically started from nothing. And I got this job as a delivery driver for a wholesale florist.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to juggle that. We're getting paid Skittles, so we're
Hmm.
barely making it by. Um, I'm newly married.
Yeah.
The man in me feels like I should be providing and all of this stuff, and I just feel like completely just deflated.
Hmm.
And but I'm on the opposite end of the coin. I'm playing professional paintball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Like that's fun.
I've made, like, this is like you made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of like tumultuous kind of time, because it's like I've reached it here. I manifested this, but then at the cost of what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Wow.
so I was kind of like back in the I had my back against the wall pretty much, because it wasn't sustainable. So it was either like I quit, just as fast as I made it. I was like, I'm gonna have to just stop. Like, what am I
Yeah.
gonna do? So it was very, very rough time. And just to fast forward the story along, I had to get out of the what I was doing, and ended up getting into the fitness world. So I got a job at the front desk at a gym, and
Okay.
from there got my training certificate, and
Okay.
that started rolling. And then I was like, okay, I need to, you know, I don't know what people's expectations are when they become pro, but I mean, you're not getting, majority of us aren't getting paid, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, I need to create something where I'm using paintball as my platform, but then
Hmm.
I'm also getting compensated to help me live, but also fuel my paintball.
Yeah.
And so that's where I created Off the Leash, because I noticed there was a little pocket that was not being fulfilled. And like BKI had his thing, right? They were doing like
See.
online content, but like with paintball drills and all of that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna step into that world, because they've
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
much got it cornered. But what about the fitness side? Like,
For sure.
what
Yeah.
about the one spoke before you go out onto the field, and
Yeah.
properly training? And no one was really doing it, to the where like modern training
Yeah.
is happening. Like,
For sure. I'll say this. When I see like some of the stuff that you throw out there, I trust it. I'm like, he knows what he's talking about. When I see other folks, I'm not going to say names, but I see people talking about like they're doing some crazy like funky exercises that are probably good. Some of them are pro players, but I'm like that looks janky as all get
yeah,
out.
facts.
I'm like, and your stuff is like, "Oh, I could do this at the gym and I understand how it applies to what I would do
Right.
on the field." So,
Right.
sorry, I
Well, I
cut you
mean,
off.
no, no, and no, you're exactly right. And I've been blessed to move up the ranks pretty quickly within this area, with my training,
Nice.
and expose myself to top tier athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of professional athletes.
Awesome.
And so it's like
Outside of paintball.
outside of paintball. So I've been able
Great.
to trickle that down to
Okay.
our sport, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get maybe confused with the whole paintball specific training where it's like, oh, I need to have my marker and I'm tying a rubber band around it and anchoring it
Yeah.
and I'm doing all this stuff.
Hit the
Or
nail on the
I
head.
have
That's
I
yeah.
have my marker in the gym and I'm doing,
Yeesh.
I,
That's
too much.
scary.
I'm doing too
Yeah.
much. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and I try to explain to people, it's like, dealing with these football players or rugby players or hockey players, we're not in the gym with their actual gear. I'm not there throwing a football with these guys around. Like, there's a time and
Yeah.
place for everything, but we're really just working through foundational movements,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Mhm.
you look at the majority of the pros all the way down. I've worked with them all. People, majority of people don't move properly, and that just is what it is. Like, your
That's
your
scary.
your
Like
squat,
these.
your hinge, your lunge, your core control. Like, there's a lot of stuff, and even if you are good at it, you can always be better. I can always be better, right?
Yeah.
That's the chase of the game that we're doing. And so no one was really doing that, and that's kind of where that's really the inception of OTL.
Okay.
And OTL basically just came from my buddy who I worked with at the gym, and I was the new kid on the block, right? And I'm just doing what I do, right? And
Mhm.
my training and doing some of the fun stuff that I do. And he would always just walk in. He's like, who's this beast off the leash? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
this
yeah.
guy's like
Yeah.
this guy's a beast. You know what I mean? He's off the leash. And so we started throwing off the leash around like it was like off the chain or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's off the leash. And then so I was looking for a name for my training programs and stuff like that, and I was just like, oh, boom, it just clicked.
That's it
And
for
from there it
sure,
was, yeah, from there it's just been history,
dude.
So long
Nice.
long way around that question, but we got there. That's
Hey man,
that's
it's all
kind of
good. I loved every bit
that's
of it.
kind of what we do.
It kind of piqued my interest with this, like training other like professional athletes, and I see uh kind of how specific certain drills can be for like hockey players or goalkeepers or whatever.
Hmm.
What has like I'm just interested in like sort of the crossover between training for which I know training for paintball is not as well rounded as it should be. It's probably from your perspective for sure. I would imagine like but I guess what do you see from professional athletes like how they approach it and you kind of sorry what do you see from professional athletes outside of paintball how they approach their training versus paintball players uh, and I know you touched on like the fun foundational like the hinge the squat all that more so like the specific things they do like
Hmm.
I'm trying not to like I don't want you to throw anything out for like I want you to have
You're fine. You're fine.
your stuff but like what's paintball not doing in the gym that they should be or not maybe not the gym but in their training that they should be besides the foundational or are we just that dilapidated that we all should focus on the hinge the squat and
No, no, no.
the
It's not only that. No, no,
okay
it's not only that. I just
and obviously don't
I think.
like I don't want you to give anything away for free
Oh,
so yeah
I give shit away for free all the time, man. It's
okay
not like, you
okay
know what I mean? Like, that's
yeah
never been a problem. I think a good piece of advice that I was always given, and this isn't one of the questions that you asked me, but just a
okay
good piece of advice that I've always lived by is like you should have a product good enough that you can give away for free.
okay
You know what I mean?
yeah
And have the confidence that it's gonna be there.
yeah
It's just
well, I
people
like
want it,
that
you know?
it's a good one yeah
So I've never been hesitant to just share my knowledge with what I feel like I have knowledge, right? I mean,
hmm
I'm always learning as well. So, I mean, with paintball and compared to other sports,
hmm
there's, I don't really think there's anything too crazy between all the different sports that we're training. It's just the little nuances that's going to help us, right?
hmm
And so, like, through working with a lot of athletes and even just through my own growth, things that I've tend to kind of stick to is we need to be explosive on the field. We're not running around like soccer players. You know
Mm-mm.
what I mean? We're not running
Yeah.
around for 45-minute halves nonstop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that muscle endurance, yeah, we could use it and benefit from it, but it's not the highest
Yeah.
on my list. And so we're running in quick short bursts, expending, you know, so many seconds of energy, and then we're behind our bunkers for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shooting, and, you know, we could be
Yeah.
calling it rest, but our bodies are, you know, somewhat resting, and then we're doing it again.
Yeah.
And then we're playing quick points, and then we're off. So it's like these lot of like spiking the heart rate up, bringing it down, spiking the heart rate up, bringing it down.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like conditioning, that's kind of what I try to mimic with my guys. It's not so
Okay.
much like I have, you know, I'll have people coming up to me all the time being like, "Hey, I'm running like 3 miles a day." I'm like,
Yeah.
that's dope. Like,
Yeah.
hey, any movement's better than any like no movement, but like the long distance endurance conditioning is like your foundation. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's good to have, but how applicable is it on the field for gameplay? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna last you through the tournament, but endurance running's not gonna get you faster with your
Yeah.
movement. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like those
It's
little
not.
nuances makes it sports specific. You
Yeah.
know, it's like knowing what to train, when to train it. We're in season now, so my in season training looks different than my post season training. You
Yeah.
know, so it's
Yeah.
just understanding the sport, knowing the tools that you have, and applying those tools when they're the most valuable.
Yeah. Wow.
And that goes for
Okay.
any sport.
Yeah,
That
for
goes for
sure.
any sport. So you could have the same program that you're training a football player with some little nuances that you're training a rugby player with. But it's like, when are you executing that and how are you executing that? That makes the world of a difference.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for being able to understand what I was asking. That was I stumbled through that so bad.
Yeah.
That was great. I like this focus on nuance. Is there a drill for like vocal and lung control whilst like I don't know, doing something? Like do you ever that just
Breath
sort of like
control is huge. Breath
yeah.
control is huge. When you're talking actual about the projection of your voice, which is something that I've always kind of needed help on. Like even though I feel like I'm loud, a lot of people like big feedback with me is like if I'm new to playing with a team or something, they have a hard time identifying my voice on the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, I think that's like more vocal coach
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Okay.
You know, I
You
think
don't study those muscles either?
that's
Or
a
also
different
is that not
that's a
yeah.
different wheelhouse.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay. All right. Well, that's cool though, man. That I could see that being more artistic. Like you were saying earlier, like thinking about the sport and the player and like, okay, I know this sport. I know what everyone needs. I see you. I'm getting to know you and you like the client, we'll say. The athlete.
Hmm.
And just sort of being able to like cater to them specifically.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That sounds like a fun job, man.
It's fun. Yeah, I know, man. I mean, so like going back to creating OTL, it's like I've literally like created this micro environment for myself where I literally like um literally do everything that's paintball and training oriented. Like when I
Right on.
was like I said when I was working for the florist, I was like, dude, this is not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to create this lifestyle that kind of encompasses me. Um, so that's what I did, you know, and that's where I live. And
That's
it's a double edged sword, though. Like I said, like even when I was talking about the manifesting, uh, playing pro, it's like I got there, but then like you get there and then look at everything else that's kind of like almost up in flames. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like so
Yeah.
I've manifested this, and that I I I often like laugh about like living out your dream because for me, in my experience, like I'm living out my dream, but it's also like I said earlier, like very full. Like it can be
Yeah.
very overwhelming at the same time. Like I think when I first thought of like I guess when you think about living out your dream, it's maybe a little bit more kind of rainbow and roses type of thing.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
like you're just
Yeah.
living it up and like you know,
Yeah. There's a reason I call it a
carefree,
dream and
stress
not real life.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm not doing it right, but
Oh no.
in my experience, like it comes with its own set of, uh set of problems. Not even I didn't want to say that. It's not even
Obstacles.
obstacles.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
barriers and how how you're moving and navigating and finding balance, right? That's always like the big thing. It's like how you find balance to it all.
Dude. You have a infant? Maybe not
Yeah.
infant. You have a
hmm Well,
child. So
yeah, he's
balance
not an
is
infant
not a
anymore. It feels like he
yeah.
was just an infant. He just
Yeah.
turned 2. So,
Okay. Yeah, balance is not part of the equation right now. So
pretty crazy.
yeah, I bet, man. It looks like y'all have a good time though, man. I saw a video
Oh,
of
that's
you
my little
guys
dude.
exercising together. Yeah.
Yeah, so
He's moving.
he was born on my birthday,
Oh, how
and
cool is that?
it was
That's
wild, dude. He came 7 days early. We had a home birth, so
oh
that
wow.
was a whole experience in itself.
I'm
We
sure.
always like to go all in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, whatever the hardest path is, we're taking that one.
Okay.
So we did a home birth. He came 7 days early. He easily could have been born on the 23rd, like easily. My wife started going. She was like in labor, like from the early stages of labor till the actual birth for like 52 hours, and this was
Holy
all
shit. Okay.
unmedicated at home. Like it was. It's the we don't need to talk about it here,
Yeah.
but
No,
it
I
was
mean,
the
you're good. That's
it was one of the most wild experiences that I'm sure she's had, but
yeah.
for me, definitely very crazy. And so like I said, he easily could have come on the 23rd. I thought he was going to come on the 23rd, and he just waited it out, and we get to share the same birthday now. So
That's
he's
super cool, man.
he's
I
instantly just like my little mini me, like
yeah,
for
dude.
real, like so.
That's
And I've really,
amazing.
I've really embraced it. I didn't know how, fatherhood was going to be, obviously, um,
Huh.
but he definitely rules my life. That's for sure.
Uh, that's good, man. That's. I have a feeling you're doing all the good things. So,
Trying.
good for you, man. Congratulations. What's his name? Do you mind? Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, it's fine.
The
Killian.
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 What? Oh, dude. All
Yeah,
right.
Killian. We call him Killy, and
Killy.
he's a little,
Okay.
uh,
So
he's a little mixed breed like
Paddy and
me.
Killian, there's got. All right. I was about to say.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you're
So
from Maui, but like
yeah, so
Paddy Gleason, you
me
got
and my
this.
wife are from Maui,
Okay.
and we're mixed as much as you can be mixed. So
Okay.
she's Filipino and Caucasian, and I am Hawaiian Chinese and Caucasian. So he's
Well,
got
then
a little
where
bit
are
of
the Irish
everything.
names coming from?
Well, so I'm so personally I'm the most Irish, but then
Okay.
in second place is Chinese, and then it starts coming down into Hawaiian and German and Scottish
Oh
and
wow.
all this other stuff. But
Yeah.
primarily, I would say if I had to put on paper, I would say I'm Chinese Irish or Irish Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So we got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Strong names too. That's great.
Strong names, yep.
Yeah.
So we wanted to keep it Irish, but he's got the Hawaiian middle name and
Yeah.
all of that jazz. So
Dude.
he's gonna be a stud for sure.
Yeah. I he better be. Jeez. Can't like you got that's a name to live up to, you know?
hmm we call him Killy the Kid.
Killy. Oh, that's so cool. Right on. Does your wife play paintball?
No, no,
No. Okay.
no. Um, she's been out.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't have a strong urge to
Yeah.
play.
I feel that. I feel that. Right on. Cool, man. Well, dude, so all right. Talked about off the leash. And then there's an aspect like I saw something where you had like a whole team on a Zoom call with the off the leash
So
stuff.
that's part of so that's part of Off the Leash.
Yeah.
And then we call them the OTL athletes. And so I have a few different kind of memberships or entry points for people to come in.
Yeah.
one thing about understanding the paintball world or paintball culture is also knowing the price points for people to come in at.
Yeah.
Understanding that divisional paintball is very expensive for people. They're grinding. They're
Mm-hmm.
paying out of pocket to go to a complete series, let alone like if it's NXL. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are shelling out money. Unfortunately, for as much as people do need it, performance training is not high on their list. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's not
Uh,
the fun part usually.
yeah,
Yeah.
they much rather, they much rather buy every drop off of something or, every
Yeah.
headband, every
Yeah.
head wrap, whatever. So knowing that I have different tiers that people enter in on, but the OTL athletes is my remote coaching, and those are the athletes that I take through like the entire season. So
Okay.
these athletes stick with me through the seasons. Um, Been able to coach up a lot of cool athletes. Cyrus being one of them, right? Cyrus came with
Mm-hmm.
me from like
Oh,
D5,
sweet.
and now he's just stunting. So that's been
Yeah.
a crazy story to watch unfold. Scott
Dude.
Stewart was there as well in my
Mm-hmm.
earlier days. Grayson Gladstone, like I've had all these guys kind of move up through the ranks and end up making pro. So it's been really cool not only
Yeah,
watching
man.
that and then playing against them, and then they beat
Yeah.
me, and it's just like fuck, man.
Yeah.
What-
There
like,
should yeah. There should be a
you know,
cutoff point like,
yeah,
oh
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like
Or just like
okay,
a maybe you don't tell them. It's like once they get there, you're like, all right,
like
we're gonna train this, and
yeah,
it's
no, like I
gonna
said, there's no
yeah,
secrets with me. I give
yeah.
them everything that I got, because I do want to see these guys succeed. I think that's really why I've been here. It's
Hey
to
man.
try and get these guys up to that top level and seeing them succeed. So the OTL athletes, the thing that you see maybe on social media and stuff is just the Zoom calls. So that's kind
Yeah.
of like with remote coaching. That's my point of contact with them is being able. It's a weekly Zoom call. We talk about training. We talk about paintball, and then like I said, culture building. Right, that's always been
Yeah,
really
man.
big. So it gives us this little micro community within a already small community,
Okay.
and I've seen a lot of cool things happen. Right, like all these players get connected. We all it's big part of OTL is just mindset as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so these guys all share the same mindset, and it's safe to say if they're willing to be paying, this tier, they're all pretty dedicated to
Yeah.
what their mission is. I think so. I think that really resonates with them, and I've seen like West Coast players flying down to the Florida circuits just to guest, and then I've seen
Wow,
the
that's
Florida
cool.
guys come over to the West Coast and play the WCPPL, like, and even at NXL events, I see them bouncing around and picking up players, and it's almost like this seal of performance. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's kind of what I always wanted. It's like when
Yeah.
someone
You
sees
should have like
when someone knows
certifications. Like
someone's an OTL athlete, like if a
yeah.
coach is looking to pick up a player and then they know that these guys are OTL athletes, then they know that there's going to be like a little package that comes with that player, right? That he's been
Dude.
dedicated, that he trains, and that he has a reputation, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of
man.
always been something that I've wanted to come to fruition with OTL. And like I said, our athletes are pretty successful
Yeah,
with
man.
bouncing up the ranks. Like I said, it doesn't like for the median of players that are out there, and I've seen a lot, like it's that extra work that you do, and these guys are doing the extra work that it takes
Oh yeah.
to make it
Those I
quickly
mean, you've
up the
got
ranks.
two. Let's see. Cyrus, I think, was MVP, right, at
Yeah,
Cup. Scott
Cyrus
Stewart's
is
amazing.
amazing.
Gladstone, I think he got
Gladstone,
move of the
Stunton,
event at
yeah,
Vegas a while back. Like,
Stunton.
dude,
Um,
that's quite
I mean,
the resume of the CV. Like, or I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah, no,
like
and
you.
that, I mean, obviously they do the work. That it's just been awesome to see these young players move up. And Thomas Taylor's been a close friend of mine and
Mm-hmm.
worked him through a knee injury that years ago was really giving a problem, and now it's not even heard of. Like he's
Nice.
just still going.
Yeah, I've
Um,
noticed him. I didn't get to watch a whole bunch last, but last event, but last season,
hmm
and I don't know when you got in contact with him, but he looked like
Oh,
good. He
Thomas.
looks like solid. Yeah.
I've been working with Thomas for years, and I mean, and Harrison Fry. I mean, you name it.
Dude,
I've worked with a lot of people, man. Like, you know, it might not be
that's
broadcasted, but I work with a good
oh
amount of people that I get my hands on them, and we
yeah,
have,
dude.
it's fun, dude. It's fun. I really enjoy working with the top tier athletes, and I really enjoy working with D5 athletes, and I enjoy working with. I have a lot of youth athletes too. So, you know, I've been working with the Outlaw kids
Okay.
from
All
Outlaw
right.
Anodizing and
Nice.
Outlaw PB. So their whole youth program I was working with. Thomas's youth program, the Iconic kids, I
Mm-hmm.
was working with them. So yeah, man.
Dude, that's you have arrived, sir. Like, you've been here for a while, but like you like I good job, man.
Thank
I
you.
don't like that was mostly like so, I reached out to you just I've messaged you on Instagram a few times, but
Yeah,
you've
we've gone
had
back and
some
forth.
yeah, and you've like shared some pretty great stuff uh on other podcasts and you I really appreciated like how vulnerable you were and how like just open you were and that ultimately me getting you on here was just for me to say, hey, thanks, man. I love what you're doing. Like you're a solid dude. You're a cool guy, and I like. I really appreciate that you are someone a leader in our paintball community, a tournament paintball community. So,
Dude, I love that.
uh,
And I love paintball. I love the people in
mm-hmm.
paintball. And like you said, we bounce back and forth. I knew you just through the social media handle, so it was like it's really cool to have conversations
Yeah,
with people.
man.
I always encourage people to reach out to me. I'm not that person to not reply to people. I love the human connection aspect of paintball, and it's just like I said, it paintball has given to me so much in my life, and from my other podcast, it's like I've talked about my recovery and
Mm-hmm.
the trials and tribulations that I've been through, and paintball has always been a constant in my life that has pulled me in positive directions, and so it's only my duty to give back,
It's
and
beautiful, man.
to be
Yeah,
selfless with others in the sport. Because
that's big
I've seen it change lives, dude, and
for sure.
that's not being egotistical or anything. It's like you never know, just a simple conversation can change the whole trajectory of someone's life. And so you have to spend the time to be vulnerable, to be open with people. Like you said, authentic, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
authenticity is gonna just come out if you just stay true to that. And so I have felt like that's always been kind of like my the payback that I have for the sport.
Well, you're doing it, man, and I'm glad that like I'm sure a lot of people get that sort of urge, and uh, people don't always follow through on that, and I'm glad that you are. That's so. Thanks again. Um, Sweet. All right, man. Well, maybe let's jump into some of these questions.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, uh, I'm wondering if your mom's gonna come up on one of these. All right. So something I love to talk about art, and
hmm
I really love asking anyone this question. It's like, what was the first piece of art that you remember seeing that like, or maybe not first, but just a piece of art that you remember seeing that stopped you in your tracks and like demanded your attention? And I should have clarified this when I messaged you, but like, uh, it doesn't have to be a painting, like capital A art. I've had people throw out, like most recently, I think I had a, not most, I had a guest talk about like a choir
mm.
or a choral piece, or a motivational speaker or a book or, like I take the, whatever you want to define art as, um, you know, I'll allow it. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm locked and loaded on that, man.
okay. All right.
And
What do
I
you
wouldn't
got?
say I wouldn't say I have a specific like piece of art that I just absolutely love.
Okay.
Um, but I do love, and I've always, have dabbled in it myself, but I've always loved street art,
Yeah.
graffiti,
All
and
right.
and anything like that. So coming from Seattle, we got a lot of street art.
Oh, yeah.
spent a lot of time in Portland. There's a lot of street art in Portland. So I'm always taking the time to, whenever I'm driving by it, or if I know spots that have a lot, of street art, I'm always looking at that and
Nice.
admiring it. And I've always loved the craft. And so that's like my top favorite art. I mean, obviously Banksy is up on the list. How could you not love
Yeah.
Banksy? But never seen really any of his stuff. But even from when I was younger, knew of Banksy before he was kind of like trending. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so street art's always been pieces of art that I stop and kind of admire and take notes, and obviously that comes with the lifestyle aspect of things too. So I just
Hmm.
love that and how I uh, interpret it and bring it along with me with other things that I create.
Sweet. Have you partaken? Have you?
Only on like pen and pencil.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to
Yeah.
do that a lot. Just
Nice.
drawing it out. I never. I mean, I that was. Don't get me wrong. I've always like wanted to, and not that I wouldn't. I've done a lot of shit. Like that would have been the last. That would not have been the highest on my list of like
Yeah.
things, right? Like that. That wouldn't have. That wouldn't have. I just never felt like I was maybe worthy enough. You know what I mean? Like I.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That. So that whole aspect of it, I just never felt like I was like that good.
You
You know.
respect it
So.
that much.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool,
yeah, for
man. I
sure.
appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like
Yeah,
most people, they're like, oh, I'll just get graffiti, like, oh, it's a trash can, whatever, and they just kind of go for it. But
yeah. I
like
mean,
to
I
like
guess with
have
anything,
this,
that's how you're gonna start, right? Like with
yeah,
anything, that's what you're not gonna just go and first time draw a freaking masterpiece. It takes practice, right? But
for sure.
I never did it.
Okay. Well, there's still time. It's
Yeah.
now that you got a kid and all, go.
Put them in my
Don't do
backpack
that.
and
Yeah,
go
it's not a yeah,
go up on some scaffolds.
dude. Graffiti with a little baby Bjorn on, and yeah, I love it. Make sure he wears a mask. That's all.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
films, yeah, dude. All right, cool. So, just graffiti in general, and Banksy's like your go-to. Have
Um,
you? Oh, go ahead.
there's no, there's other ones, but yeah, I mean, I do like Banksy a lot. I mean, I think he's kind of a goat, obviously within that
Oh yeah,
world. So
everyone knows him. Yeah, or knows. They don't know him.
they shouldn't, they should. I mean, a lot of people know of him, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So have you? Gosh, I kind of follow his like trajectory just with when I'm talking to students. Have you? Did you see his hotel?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if it's still there, but he had a hotel. I'm gonna say the wrong place, but it's like not where you. It's not a destination you want to go to. Usually, it's like Gaza or
Yeah, yeah.
it's next to a wall, and it of course it is, but it's like what is that? I don't know. I'll send you a link, but it's very Banksy. It's like
Nice.
this hotel seems nice enough inside, but they got this dope artwork everywhere, and then there's this big wall and just cans of spray paint just sort of there to do with whatever you see fit, I guess. I don't know.
This
So
says it's in Bethlehem.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was
Uh,
looking it up real quick.
yeah, man, it's crazy because
Huh.
you look at the prices
Interesting.
and it wasn't absurd, but you got to get there, and
The walled off
yeah,
hotel.
yeah. So him playing
That's
on
pretty
words
legit.
instead of the
Yeah,
Waldorf,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I love his stuff. Street art in general, like that's how I got into it. Uh, there was a skater named Andy Howell, a skateboarder, and he had this really cool style, very like illustrative, and he would splatter paint everywhere, but all his figures were like elongated, and I don't know. He's a
Hmm.
really cool dude. So,
Nice.
uh, all right. Speaking of artists, who's an artist we all need to know?
I was I was thinking of like creators,
Okay.
and so like right now, and I was looking at like kind of like the top creators that I kind of tune into a lot, and two of them are back in Hawaii, and so I tune into them a lot. One of them's the Coup Project, and it's a very kind of mindset motivational type of content creation that relates to Hawaiian culture.
Okay.
So that always resonates with me, and they come out with some really cool stuff, enlightening stuff, and stuff that also just makes you feel good. And then there's another guy called Son of Oahu, which is a little bit more like cultural practice stuff,
Okay.
teachings of kind of just how the kapuna would do it, or kapuna is the the teachers are and our
Okay.
ancestors, how kind of like the old Hawaiians would do it, and how that kind of would translate into the modern world. So he speaks pretty freely on that stuff. So those are two things that I tune
Wow.
into. And then locally here, I think Conquer with Paint is a local photographer that
All right.
does media up here. So I just want to give him a shout out. He's
Okay.
always out at the DBS when we're playing and uh, doing
Conquer with paint.
content. And
Okay.
he should be on people's map. I wanted I wanted to see if he was going to be at the NXL before I hopped on here, just to say like, hey, if you guys need content, like
Okay.
hit up this guy. And then my other one's my buddy down in Cali, who took a step away for a little bit, but is back now for the WCPPLs and stuff. So Erickson Matty, um, he puts out some really fire content as well.
Okay.
So
Erickson
um,
Matty.
yeah, so Erickson, ERICSONMATI.
Okay.
So he's doing a lot of the photos for teams, and
Nice.
I'm linking up with him for OTL since he's back, and so he's going to be doing a lot of content for OTL while we're down there. And so yeah, if you guys are if anyone's listening and they're playing WC, reach out to me or whatnot. I'm teaming up with him so we can get you some team discounts and stuff like that. But
Nice.
besides the point, he's glad that he's back and putting out content. He's been dropping some of his latest stuff from this last event, and the photos are looking really good. So,
Sweet.
mm-hmm,
Right on. So you did I know you've had booths at the
mm-hmm.
WCPPL,
WCPPA,
WCCPL,
yeah, yeah.
WCPPL, that one, the West Coast.
Paintball Players League, yeah.
There it is. Okay. Um so and you're pro, so like you have lots of experience with NXL and with this, what like compare the two? NXL versus WCC, West Coast Paintball Play, whatever it
How
is.
do I
My Ken
tread?
Men's League.
How do I tread lightly around this one? Um,
Mm,
NXL's dope.
yeah.
It's the bigger events, the more popular event. It's more national. Um, but and I have some biases here, so that's kind of why it sways my opinion.
Okay.
I really enjoy the WCPPL. Um, it's West Coast, so travel wise, it's not
Yeah.
hard for me to get to. That's a
Yeah.
big plus, especially right now.
Yeah.
Um, and so many of my friends are there. So many of my
Yeah,
friends. Not
dude.
to say like when I go to NXL, I have a ton of friends there too. Uh, in specifically, a lot of my Hawaii teams come up
Oh,
and play
okay.
the WCPPL. So
Yeah, that's
these
cool.
guys are like these guys are like the guys I grew up with. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't get to see
Yeah.
them that often. So now that I'm kind of boothing it up at the WC, I get to see them multiple times throughout the year now. So that's really like filling my cup,
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
with
for sure.
the guys that I grew up with. That and then I mean just the Mike puts on a great event, right? He
Mm-hmm.
has the USXBL down
Yep.
in Texas, so you guys are getting a little taste of that. I really like Mike. I've been friends with him for a few years now, and he just puts on a good show. And so like at the WCs, you have so many teams. What they had in D4, they had like 50 teams. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
just in D4,
Yeah.
and it's a huge. I mean, it's a huge event still. And then in the Premier League, you have all this. I mean, most of the Premier teams have at least a pro
Mm-hmm.
playing on it, right? So you
For
have like
sure.
Joe Barrett out there. You have Grayson Gladstone.
Mm-hmm.
You have every team has somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then if they don't have somebody, and or they do, most of them are coached by some of these other pros, like Ryan Greenspan, Kyle Spica. Like, you get all these guys, and they're all there, right? So we're all there chopping it up. You got the play the game guys with Marcelo and Tyler. So, like, it's very fun to have that dynamic. Whereas, like, the NXL playing pro, your coach is usually just like once you either scouting in the VIPs to watch the other teams, or you're playing your matches and then you're going back to the hotel to watch the games there, but staying out of the elements, right? Like, there is a little bit more kind of strategic performance strategy behind it. So you're not really mingling too much with people. Not to say that not everybody does. I'm not like blanketing it all, but generally that's kind of what's going on. It's not, I mean, in my experience, it's not that I don't want to. It's just like we have to follow our team and what our agenda is and everything like that, and it gets busy, and I don't enjoy the event itself as much as I do the WC.
Yeah, that makes sense. What a shame too. Like, it seems super valid what you're saying. Like, first off, you get to see your buddies from Hawaii.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's the biggest thing to sway. Yeah, that's the biggest thing to sway my decision.
Yeah,
like
for sure. Like, I get that 100%.
Seeing my buddies.
Yeah, like, but also like just the fact, like, because I've heard that like everyone's like, oh yeah, it's more fun. Like, because I went to World Cup last year, and I went to Texas last year, and not to play, just to like spectate. And it wasn't as like magical feeling. I used to play. I played one season in PSP, and that was like, gosh, 11 or something, 2011. No, 2010, and it was fun, and I'm there with my buddies, so that's kind of cool. But I also remember just like the
vibe of it. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, look at this! These guys are coming out with this stuff. Look at this! These guys are coming out with this stuff, and it was a blast. And walking around this time, it was like everyone's kind of like mopey, I guess.
Jaded.
Yeah, like, which I don't like. Maybe it's end of the season type stuff, and they're not having as much fun because they lost. I don't know. So, but this sounds more like a very, very well run and very big local tournament, which
it's just different experiences. Like I said, it's different experiences. I would have to agree. I mean, not that I haven't been to NXL events that have felt like that, but the WCs are a little bit more alive. And I do appreciate that you do get a little bit more of the local creators.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that goes for each divisional, not just the WC. I feel like if you go down to Dallas, or you go to Florida and you go to these smaller events, you get some people that they can't afford to go to NXL and represent themselves. You know what I mean? So you get those little microcosms of those divisional brands and divisional creators, pocketing there. So I really think that that's kind of where the culture and the lifestyle breeds.
Yeah, for sure. Texas did a Bunker Fest. What I think, I don't know if it's still around or if it got kind of taken over by USXPL. But anyway, it was a pretty big event, and they were like, "Hey, vendors are free." Like, they just threw it out there, and I was like, "That's dope." And then I did a little pop up at one of Paintball Fit's series.
Nice.
And like just reached out to, I think, Colt. I was like, "Hey man, mind if I try to sell some stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, go for it." And I was next to like a salsa guy who played, he was a super nice guy.
I love that.
So it was a lot of fun, so maybe local's where it's at, guys. I don't know. NXL's cool too, I guess. I don't.
It is. It's just different experiences, different talents. But a little bit more grassroots, I think.
Right.
And that's always been. I feel like that's always been the smaller divisional series and leagues that go on. It's just a little bit more grassroots, And that, I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, so I got Conquer with Paint and Eric. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Still got you?
Yep, there we go. Sorry, I clicked my mouse
Oh.
and it took me off.
You're good. All right, so got those guys. Okay, man. So, talk to me about like some advice that's really stuck with you that someone gave you.
Yeah, this one, it kind of stumped me, right? And just because there's been so many nuggets,
Yeah.
throughout my life's lessons and stuff, and so I think it's easiest to just keep it simple, and not to be super profound. I'm not gonna come on here and just be like, oh yeah, I got this really profound thing that someone told me, this bum told me, and it really changed my life. But one thing
Hey,
that
man. Well, saved me $20 one time. That was, so.
yeah, I didn't mean to offend anybody if anyone's out there.
No,
I didn't mean to
you're
offend
good.
anybody. But one thing that I do always kind of keep in my back pocket is something that I learned from recovery, and why this kind of has stuck with me so long was, well, one, it's keep your side of the street clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I always
like that.
tell myself that. And honestly, it's just talking about your moral compass, right? And when I was out kind of doing my thing in the streets and living that lifestyle, you got really good at like manipulating, and when you kind of did, you become so desensitized to doing like the wrong things, that just becomes your lifestyle to far enough to where it's really hard to even just live a moral lifestyle,
Yeah.
And so keep
Wow.
keep your side of the street clean just basically means like as long as you're doing your part and living with a moral compass, then you can keep your conscience clean, that you're not doing anything wrong. And I unfortunately I have to remind myself all the time, because my brain will want to go and kind of revert back to some of those bad habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could do this and get away with it. No one's gonna really know about it.
Yeah. The
You know what I
easy
mean?
stuff.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, that's kind of how my brain thinks sometimes. And so I always have to tell myself, like, hey, like, keep your side of the street clean. Just make sure that, if anything comes back around, you've got your hands clean. Like you didn't do anything wrong. So that's always been, like I said, not super profound, but for me at that, the time that I was practicing it, it was really profound, because it was really hard for me to stay on the straight and narrow. You know what I
It's all
mean? So it was
relative,
like,
man.
it
Like,
kept me clean, but it also taught me how to live a moral life.
I love that.
So that was,
Keep your side of the street
that's
clean.
my
I love
little
it.
that was my little tidbit on
That's a good
advice.
one. Do you remember? You remember who told you that? Was it just like a?
One of my friends in the rooms, told me that,
Right on.
and that always stuck with me. A lot of the cliche sayings that are said in the rooms, and if anyone is wondering what rooms is he talking about, I'm talking about the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, of NA. That's where I basically grew up, and so many things are said within the walls there, that's what I mean. Like, so many things have literally changed my life within those walls, that it was really hard to be like pinpoint one thing. So
Yeah.
I use, at one point or another, I'm using or pulling something that I've learned from the rooms to help me
Yeah.
get by another day clean, So
Dang, man. Hey, you got those tools for a reason. That's cool, man.
yes.
Right on. All right. Well, I really appreciate you like just giving me this time. I know you got wife and kid. You got a full schedule, full plate. I forget how we were phrasing it, but um, just want to wrap it up real quick and ask you, what is the joy of paintball?
Besides everything that we just talked about,
Yeah, you
that's
kind
really my joy.
yeah.
No, and I think like this year too, I'm really taking a step back in trying to kind of fall back in love with paintball too, um, and really appreciating like all the small things of kind of like why I started playing in the first place. And so like the whole like for me the whole ritualistic aspect of paintball that brought me back to like being a kid is super enjoyable, from pulling up to a field,
Oh yeah.
usually on some bumpy rocky road, you know what
Hmm.
I mean, so the sound of
Yeah.
gravel, pulling up to in a field, opening up that case of paint, screwing your tank into your marker, putting your hopper on, and making sure it's aligned,
Yeah.
taking
Oh
a
man.
step into the pits or into the nets. You know what I mean? Like all of those little things, like really trying to value, um, how special those are, right? Because I've kind of been on the opposite end where it becomes so jaded and so just overstimulated that it's almost like a turnoff.
Yeah.
Winning a gunfight, like, and being, super excited about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
For
just
sure.
all of those things that I've really been trying to kind of like pull back out of me. And it's been fun, and then obviously hanging out with friends and close friends that play paintball and letting them remind me like why I play, and sharing the barbecues after
Yeah.
and shooting the shit and all of that stuff, like I mentioned, the grassroots part of paintball, like that's really what's been, at least at this period or this chapter of my career, what I've been leaning into, and it's been really kind of filling my cup.
That's good, man. That like I think a lot of dads kind of come into that where it's like, hey, time away from the family. What am
Facts,
I?
dude.
Why am I doing this
Facts.
for?
Yeah.
And to just hearing you talk about it, like I'd kind of I forgot about like driving up to a field and getting like being surprised by what's around the corner and uh lining up the hopper, like all those things. You like opened something up for me. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I
Yeah,
can't wait.
yeah.
So that's cool. I love
The
it.
f- I was thinking of like the feel of the plastic of like your
Yeah.
hopper,
Hmm.
pulling out your marker from your case and the rubber grips, like all of that
Yeah.
shit, dude. All that shit that like when you were a kid, like every piece of paintball I was just like enamored by, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Yeah. Were you
Trying
ever
to
at a
really
point
get
where
good.
you're like counting paint?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, early on, I like the breaking open a bag and the smell of paint, that
oh
funky
yeah,
smell.
dude.
You know what I
Or like
mean? Like,
reaching in the first time you
yeah,
bought a
feeling,
case, you're like, oh my
yes,
gosh, there's so many, and like,
yeah, 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 dude.
dude,
So that's where
that's
I'm at.
great.
That's where I'm
I
at.
love
It's
it.
it's been fun. It's a fun little space to be in. So
Well, we miss you on the
thank you.
NXL field,
Yeah,
but
thank
I
you.
respect what you're doing, man. I think that's healthy and really cool to like really. I can't imagine it making you a worse player. I can only see it making you a better player. Like
Yeah,
so,
who knows what the future holds? I don't plan that this was like my end at all by any means. You know, not to say that it hasn't been hard.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I've really had to do some self work and processing and looking deep and all of that jazz. Like it's been rough, getting to this point, but now that I'm here, it's like I made the right decision.
I was
You know,
about
with
that. I
what
was
I'm
just
doing.
thinking that I wanted
Yeah,
to like tell you like I think you made the right decision because I mean, how can you argue with family? you
yeah,
know,
I know.
like so.
I mean,
I,
besides family, like, and
yeah,
we say family first. It's not always practiced that way, but
yeah,
like I really try and do family first over everything. You know what I mean? So it's like I always got to practice what I preach a little bit too, and so like, but like actually doing it can be tough, right? Not the whole family part of it. I love that part, but I also
yeah,
really love paintball, and I really
yeah.
do love playing pro paintball at the top level. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you get to that point, you get a taste of it, and there's nothing quite like that either, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, that whole kind of tethered process of going back and forth has just been really uncomfortable. But like I said, going down to the WC, doing my booth, playing with my friends, seeing my friends, like all of that stuff. I walked away after this last event being like, okay, you know what, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And like we said earlier in the podcast, it's and as a creative, you need to provide yourself with the environment that it feeds, fuels your creativity. And I just kind of been not in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I meant to
it
talk
feels
about
good
that
to be
earlier
back.
too.
And so I'm
Yeah,
cranking out shit now. Like when you find those pockets, right? It's like the flow state, right? With just like with playing. You find that flow state, and playing is almost effortless, right? I get, and you can get like that with your creative processes too, where things are just popping in your head and you're like, yo, that's fucking fire. Like
yeah.
I need to execute that now. And you're just rolling with it. And the more you do it, then the more things are just attracted to you. And I think that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Like I just got crazy stuff coming to me. You know what I mean? So
Hell yeah, man.
It's been fun.
Well, I can't wait to see more of it.
No, thanks, man.
like, dude, your stuff's great, and I totally like. There's times where once you hit that as in a visual aspect or a creating aspect, you'll like look up and you're like, oh, 6 hours passed. What the hell, like, but that's just how it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. I've taken too much of your time. I really do appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me on. Glad we finally got to sit down, have a fun, cool conversation, and thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you again for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Paddy had so many great things to say. If you enjoy these episodes and you want to contribute, the best thing you can do is go to cureduchenne.com. Nope, not com. I said that last time. cureduchenne.org and go donate there. Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy is a form of muscular dystrophy that affects my family directly, and I really want it to go away. And Cure Duchenne is doing a lot of great things to help cure the disease. So that would be the best thing you could do, is go donate there. Or you can go to my Patreon and contribute at various levels if you like. But yeah, the cureduchenne.org is most impactful thing for me. So thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate y'all hopping on. Have a great day.